Everybody, hopefully your Wednesday grind is going well in game, especially with a new event in. It's important to get that grind in. But we've just had the Summoner Showdown finish, and I thought I'd give my thoughts on what I've seen, as well as some stuff to mention. So let's get into it. For anyone interested, this is the Maestro fight that they had to face off against. Winners decided on fastest KO. There's a bit of a shock in that. And for the Maestro, a recreation of Maestro boss battle from the end of Act 4. All of his buffs from that fight are active. 2 additional buffs, Limber, which is a pain in the butt, and unblockable special attacks, which again is another pain in the butt. I just want to take this opportunity to stop the video here because I want to address something that really pissed me off last week and has actually to a degree pissed me off this week. And that's the level of rudeness, discriminative, and in some cases last week was sexist comments being made. At the end of the day, you need to grow your asses up if you're going to come to these things and put stuff. And before, I just want to stop everybody's kind of thoughts of maybe going, oh, well, it's random people. It's not. It's actually members of this community, which makes it even more embarrassing. So please do me a favor. And if you are those people that for the last couple of weeks have posted shit on the live chat, and it's in the case of being, again, disrespectful, being rude, or being discriminative or sexist, grow your asses up. You know, if you want to actually meet up with these people and tell them face to face, and you do that. But I doubt you've got the scrote, you've got the ovaries, or you've got the guts to actually say that to their faces. But good luck, and hopefully next week's a little bit more cleaner. Let's move on.
The world goes wild. There's a nuclear war, which wipes out all the superheroes, and Hulk is the only one left. Actually makes him stronger. He sort of helps all the people. They go back underground. They start to build civilization. At the same time, he's secretly building his own civilization called Dystopia, above ground.
And nobody knows?
Nope. And then he springs it, he's like, I'm the strongest there is. Come on, we're going to live here, and I'm going to be king. And so he's been just this tyrant for years. What happens is the rebels come and they use Dr. Doom's time machine, bring back Professor Hulk, so he's smart, he's got the deep V. They bring him back from like our current time, and then he goes and he fights Hulk. I will say one last thing to tell you how intense Maestro is. Maestro, in the comics, snaps Hulk's neck.
What?
I'm going to leave it at that. There's a lot more story to read. It's really crazy.
You can just, oh, all right. Well, he's going to leave us like that. We also got Nori Davis and Dorky Diggity Dave in the booth to help us out. How you guys doing?
He snapped his neck.
A lot of the players or participants' strategy is based around trying to push Maestro to his SP2 because it's a lot more easier to avoid, especially with the beam attack coming at some point. So I think with the L1, it's best to push him to the L2. And one thing that's a bit annoying is this time I don't think you get a kind of a flash of what champions are option to kind of take in, which is interesting because Dave keeps on saying like, I didn't choose my champion. We didn't know what other champions apart from the ones that we saw, Dave. Those are wise words. And Dave puts a lot of great technical information. And Brian Grant did a fantastic job last week. But still, I rate Dave's commentating or kind of hosting.
Just excited Ryan didn't say she didn't get her neck snapped. That was good. All right, so here we go. So we guess we're going to get the final fight going on right now.
Dave just doesn't know what to say. He's like, huh? Yeah? Huh? Right, here we go with the battle, and I think it's very much self-evident, and even like Dave points out, that the strategy with this is the backdraft intercept. And something that I think a lot of people, again, show this kind of level of disrespect is that, look, everything seems to be on the line. There's nerves that get to you. You just don't know if you're functioning correctly, if you're kind of able to kind of understand the AI, I think is the point I'm trying to get to. And again, backdraft intercept is fine, but you will find a point the AI learns what you're going to do. It changes speed unexpectedly. You think that it's going to be one thing, and it's not. It is just a common thing with Kabam and Marvel Contest of Champions, which is going to be self-evident. That was good backdraft intercept, but again, just imagine this. AI is learning. It's always learning. It understands what you're up to, and the slightest bit of mistake is going to cost you. And you get hit by this Maestro, and you're out of the game. But it's going quite well so far. Cade has put in an amazing job. All of the competitors put in an amazing job, as well as the people last week. There's not extensive damage, and one thing that is important to learn, which Frojo actually told us, which is brilliant, is that you only get one signature. It's not 99 signature. This is one signature. Always, that's the clip as well. And that's the inconsistency with the AI, or the consistent inconsistent of the AI, and trying to put in a backdraft intercept and getting KO'd. But still, it set the bar for what you're going to see in the future. But the strategy remains the same, and what you're going to see throughout is push that L2, try and remain in a blocked stance for as much as possible to kind of think, well, the AI is not going to trigger. And sometimes I've had it where even though the L1 is unblockable, so if you're in a block, you're obviously going to get the full brunt of the SP1. The fact is, if you're going to go into it prior to the enemy AI going, right, well, I need to hit you with something, largely you're going to be hit into your block. So I don't know if we didn't see the champion pool of what champion you got to use. So the fact is, there could have been other options that would have been better or worse. We just don't know. Next up is Frojo, and obviously he's my mutant bro. We talk mutants, we love mutants, and it's really cool to kind of like go, right, well, he's got an Xavier's top on with the X. It's still representing. I love it. I absolutely love it. And in the warm-up, as well as the main fight, which we're going to see in a second, is the use of Hulk. And look, I like the idea of this. But again, like, credit to Frojo for saying this, because not everybody, I didn't hear this last week, no one said this, that they only get one signature. And I don't know if it's consistently going from each individual weeks, but yeah, one signature into these Awakened Champions is pretty crap. But is it something to really get the competitive edge to these Summoner Showdowns? Either way, let's watch. Now, again, same principle remains. We're pushing to the L2 because the L2 is a lot more easier to avoid. And obviously the L1 is not as easy, especially with that pulsing. And the kind of the great idea off the cuff is to stay in a block stance whilst you're getting hit into that block, that you're building up that power. But it's something that you can't have quite so much. As you can see now, we're up to the L2. I'm waiting for a clean. There we go. With the unblockable with the L2, but the extent of evading that is like distance is key. Distance is perfect. I'm always thinking, like, with this, when I watched it back, and again, it's like shoulda, woulda, coulda, didn't, and whatever. But would it been better for Frojo to allow his health to be eaten away in the block, rather than obviously going like, hey, hit me, but going into a block and then going, right, well, my health is now below the 25% threshold. In order to maximize those fury effects and doing extensive damage. I kind of feel that may have been the case. That may have been a good idea. Or could he be really aggressive and try and battle away with trying to keep that stun? And again, like, shoulda, woulda, coulda, and everybody did a brilliant job. So that's something to be. And it's like a really unfortunate clip as well. It really unfortunately got clipped, and it was sadly game over. And it gives, for me, I think it's the unfortunate side of things that 80% trying to get that stun effect. I feel sorry for him because look, that's RNG there. If we had got that stun in, would we be looking at something more powerful? Again, maybe. I feel for Frojo because I want that 80% to actually mean something, and unfortunately it doesn't. So I really feel for him on that one. It sucks. I think one of the points was made, like, under the pressure of the time, your nerves get to you, so if you had a game plan, it's not exactly there. And the other thing about kind of building basic attacks through, you have to be so careful, because let's face it, if you think that you're intercepting, then you're intercepting well, then you've got to really get it over the threshold of the SP1 going into the SP2, which kind of puts you into a block stance very quickly after you do any kind of action. So yes, there is merit to that, but you do risk it. It's not going to be plain sailing. This is Big Blue, and Big Blue decides to use Hawkeye, utilizing SP1s with the power draining, as well as trying to hit up a nice bleed, which is obviously, hopefully, going to be beneficial for him. This is the final fight, and this is probably the best fight, so let's watch this. This is a very tricky one to use with Hawkeye, because you have to consider the fact that if you have to build up a power, like there you go, SP1's now built, hit in, and then that's like, look, it's like 75% close to the next bar of power. That's Maestro. So would it be of value to do this? Because let's face it, he'll get to an SP1 before you'll get to the SP1. And there's the kind of the idea is going into the block stance in order to build up power yourself. So it's kind of like you're double suppressing. Unfortunately, there's a nasty clip, a really nasty clip just there. But Big Blue keeps his composure. And as well, look, they're on equal pegging now, building up again to that first bar. but it is very tight. And this is the point where it's squeaky bum time, but the play has to be important. Now it's a case of you can't take too much damage, and he's on 17%. So again, strategy now, he's still taking into his block, but that hasn't phased him. So what he's doing now is he's now putting in the L1, brings it down the threshold so he doesn't get stung at all. But the next thing is that he's got to keep himself away, and he's got to be working on his intercepts because he can't take any more damage. That was lucky that he didn't throw a special attack there, and this is lucky as well that the enemy hasn't thrown a special as well. And obviously this is really squeaky bum time. 3%. He can't take anything into the block. And just waiting for this L1 to be applied in a minute. The L2 comes in from Maestro, and hopefully we can see an L1 from Big Blue any second now, because he doesn't want to get him getting an L1. There we go with the power drain, and there we go with the bleed. It's a nice old bleed that's just been put on, and hopefully this will start taking down the enemy past the 30%. It's close, it's there. There we go. He's got it. He's won. It doesn't really matter what happens now. And the KO is there, but he's won. Congratulations to Big Blue. This was an incredibly tense fight right at the end, and it was like, even though this was about KOing the enemy, the fact is, look, it was a lot of fun to watch, especially with the back and forth with Big Blue and how that kind of ended up with a fight. And it was kind of cool. At times it made me feel that we could really get an esports out of MCOC with stuff like that, because there was a little bit of drama with it. It's not like it's Tekken or it's Virtual Fighter where it's kind of like two characters, two players kind of fighting it out to the bitter end, and maybe that's something that MCOC could do in the future. However, though, this was actually a really enjoyable week 2, and I'm looking forward to getting back to some kind of like business as usual commentators thing that I did the other week. But maybe I'll test out my new green screen when it arrives early next week. If I've got time, I will roll it out. If it's not, then I'll do something maybe similar to this. But either way, this was amazing. Dave did a fantastic job, but there's a little bit of a fail at the end because Josh says there's going to be some sort of a thing about Sunspot as well as Warlock, but unfortunately it was a thing in Diablo trailer that was put on the end of it, so a lot of people noted about that and just went, oh, it's a big fail. So yeah, better luck next week on that, but still I had a lot of fun. And if you want to enjoy it and see more videos like this, then please hit the like button. What are your thoughts on the Summoner Showdown Week 2? Put it in the comment section as well, and I'll catch you in the next video. This should be the last video today because I think this is video 3. So yeah, see you all tomorrow. I think I'm going to do a couple of videos, but live stream as well. Bye bye for now.